Sons, and they also own Beavertown Oil Supply, and quite a large establishment, really, quite a large business. And now they're getting into the line of solar heat, I understand. Oil Heat, Bilger & Sons, out of Middleburg. We thank them for coming to Beavertown and helping to make our parade a success. Zeckman's Beauty Shop. Next float in line, a Chevy. Behind that, pickup truck pulling another old piece of firefighting equipment. It's a hose cart, and this is brought to us from McClure Burr. It dates back, I think, to approximately 1810, this hose cart. And behind that is their brush buggy. Nonetheless, to put it, I guess, brush buggy is what they refer to it at. It's a Dodge four-wheel drive. They have a small tank on there, booster hose, portable pump, and they can get up into the brush and the ridges and the mountains, and where it's sometimes hard to get with your larger pieces of equipment. Behind that is their international pumper from the McClure area, and McClure has just launched a quick response team up there, which is doing a fantastic job as far as going out and rendering service and first aid to accidents in the area. McClure doesn't have an ambulance, but they organized this quick response team, and they're doing a fantastic job, and the interest is great. Followed by this, we have the 4-H marching group from Mount Pleasant Mills. They traveled some distance to be with us this evening. We're grateful to these young people to come over and share our parade with us. They are marching straight. They're conscious of being judged, and they're looking pretty sharp, really. They look real great. 4-H group from Mount Pleasant Mills. We're glad to have them, and we thank them for coming. Behind that comes Herbs Electric. It's a new business in the McClure area. It was formerly known as Spiggs Electric, and now it goes under the name of Herbs Electric. Behind that, the 50th anniversary of one of our own local businesses, Super Service Garage. Super Service Garage was put into business years and years ago by a man named Mr. Guy Nairhood, the father of Kenneth Nairhood. And now Kenneth runs the garage, and it is supervised by his son and his son-in-law, Gary Nairhood and Howard Benner. They sell a line of international equipment, scouts, trucks, and as far as repair work, they do that. They have a fleet of trucks of their own that haul steel throughout the eastern seacoast. Super Service Garage from Beavertown, Pennsylvania. One of the oldest establishments in Beavertown, business-wise. Next, a float put in the parade by the disabled veterans. And this is the Chapter 24 out of Middleburg. Now coming into line, another float. This is a float from the United Methodist Church of Beavertown. We are so grateful to these people who took time out to build these floats at churches and participate in our parade, and people enjoy seeing them. It adds so much to our parade. We are grateful. 1780 to 1980, 200 years of religious education. I'll say amen to that. Next, Ford pumper out of Kramer. I think it's a 1980. A new truck just purchased some months ago. Kramer, and Kramer is famous for the business of wood mowed. Thank you, Kramer Fire Company, for coming up and spending an evening with us and participating in our parade. Now we have the Wildcats from Mifflinburg, marching group. Precision. They're looking great. The Wildcats out of Mifflinburg, Mifflinburg High School. Mifflinburg has been famous of late. They've had quite a few state champions in wrestling. And the Lynch boys over there, their father used to be the coach there at Mifflinburg High School, and out of the 3 sons, I think 2 of them have gone on to be state champions. Mifflinburg Wildcats. Let's hear it. Mifflinburg Wildcats from Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania. Next comes the Beavertown Homemaking Club. Float put in by our own local residents. The ladies got together, and thank you so much. We appreciate that. Nice float. And then comes Yetter Chevrolet, I believe. Yep, Yetter Chevrolet. Garage at the other end of Beavertown, the west end. Mr. Lloyd Yetter started that business years and years ago, and now it's run by two sons and son-in-law, Mr. Marvin Yetter, Mr. Don Yetter, and Mr. Jack Bingaman. Yetter Chevrolet, another local business in the area. We're grateful to these people to take time out of their work and participate in our parade and bring these automobiles. Makes our parade so much better. Followed by that, we have a float. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with it, but we'll catch you up to date here shortly. Oh, yes, another local business. See that big sub on there? I might have known. Teresa's Sub Shop. Teresa Sub Shop. My gosh, she's been doing a lot in the area for the children. She sponsors roller skating parties and dances, and thank you, Teresa. Next is the ambulance out of Milroy, Cadillac. Milroy ambulance. They go through here occasionally on their way to Geisinger. Followed by the Milroy brush truck. That's a Ford. Yeah, that's a four-wheel drive with duals in the back. That baby ought to get up and down the hills, I'll tell you. A sharp-looking piece of equipment. Milroy brush truck. And then Beavertown block. Beavertown block and Beavertown cast stone. Cast stone, the last few years, has been making a lot of the stadium for at Penn State as far as seating capacity. They made all of the expansion up there as far as the seats. Beavertown cast stone and Beavertown block. Next comes another float from one of our local businessmen. This gentleman, I'll tell you, Mr. C.T. Saylor. He has meant so much to our fire company and has given so much over the past number of years. It's gratifying, but words are too cheap, I'll tell you. He's known in the area as Windy, but he has given our fire company so much support. Quite a large shirt laying on there, and that's a large sewing machine, my gosh. Here we come, the Baby Tigers from Beavertown. Future major leaguers, yes, sir. They're coached by Gerald Ray and by Paul Kantz and by Eddie Swab. The Little Leaguers from Beavertown and the Pee-wees. Back of that, we have the female softball team, the girls softball team. They did great this year. They tied for the championship, but because of church camps and vacations, it was on just unbelievable to try to have a playoff. But they tied with McClure, the girls softball team, coached by Crystal Ray. And we have an entry from Zeckman's Butcher Shop over the country here in the suburbs of the city of Benfer. Zeckman's Butcher Shop. And then, of course, Beaver Springs Home and Community Club, driven by Reverend Smith, and his wife is on there, Mrs. Jim Riggle, Mrs. Swab, some of the Swab children, Beaver Springs Community, and then we have an entry, a trailer truck, Middlesworth